architectural CAD systems, very highly detailed models also directly into this web map, import them. And just to show you, this is one of our functionalities which are integrated into every web map application, where you can, for example, use a slider tool to show the scenario as it is right now. And then with the planning tool we have developed, you can create different scenarios, then talk to your colleagues about them, share with the public. And before you get into construction, you can sort of visualize different scenarios as to how we want to develop a certain area. The VC View is basically our software component that allows us to visualize large data sets in a web map, which you're able to access with a smartphone, with every browser. You don't need very great hardware for it. I want to focus on two topics. First of all, this is 3D flood visualization. We're able to sort of source live weather data. In this case, it's from the German data agency on national level. And we're able to integrate the weather forecast into our 3D model. And in this case, for example, we have simulated a heavy rain scenario where then with sensory data, which are connected at the banks of the rivers, but also at every object where there's a sensor, you can sort of forecast how high the water level will rise. And we've also implemented a tool that allows us to generate, based on a pretty complex algorithm, a damage calculation. And based on these simulations, we're able to give advice to public officials as to where security measures might need to be put in place or people need to be evacuated in case of an extreme weather event. Another field we focus on is 3D solar potential analysis. We've developed an application where we can directly calculate the global, diffuse, and direct irradiation on all surfaces of every object within a city or a region. And as I said earlier, given that we use a certain data format called CityGML, we're able to interact with every object, click on an object, and this info bubble pops up where you can then visualize graphically, but also numerically, the irradiation over a certain period of time. Yes, we at Virtual City Systems are always happy to take part in research programs and develop our applications further. A lot of our software is based on open source because we believe it's important to allow users to sort of advance and develop further applications for our own software. In the field of urban safety, we have done 2 research projects. This is one where we took students from the Berlin University to the streets and asked them to sort of map out where in certain urban areas they have a perception of unsafety or safety. And based on this feedback by our participants, we were then able to map out sort of the safety or non-safety perception in certain areas and give advice to public officials as to maybe how alter the urban environment to decrease this visibility or audibility perception of unsafety. Another really interesting project we were taking part in is it's the simulation of mass pedestrian movement in urban environments. This was also done with the police of Berlin, where they wanted to understand better, for example, during mass protests or mass demonstrations, how large groups of people in a dense urban environment move. So we basically set up this simulation where you can see how, based on the street layout, and also the amount of people, where people will likely move given in a certain direction. And again, the result of this research project was we were able to offer advice as to maybe where bottlenecks in the city might be created, mass hysteria can be avoided, and just generally offer a safer progress or a safer demonstration, let's put it that way. Another interesting field is we simulate traffic simulations and autonomous driving. In this case, this is a screenshot from a project in Ingolstadt in the south of Germany, where we captured a very highly detailed street intersection, and we were able to sort of run thousands of simulations as to understand better why this specific crossing is very vulnerable to traffic jams and also accidents. And as in the previous projects, the idea is always to then have more founded insights as to how improve a certain field of urban development. Okay, lastly, before I would like to jump in a live demo, if we still have time, I'd like to show how we cooperate with partner firms. For example, this case, Riva, it's a firm from the south of Germany where we have integrated our 3D modules into their GIS center software. And basically what they have developed is a very extensive application where you can catalog, register all types of relevant documents or processes in city administration. And in this case, for example, you can see a construction plan. On the left-hand side, you see a 2D visualization, and the right-hand side, our sort of added layer of 3D, where you can then interactively move in this map, and it directly shows the replica in 3D. It's really cool because you can sort of catalog everything. You can show the advancement of every project, share this very easily via screenshot or PDF with your colleagues, and generally you try to avoid these data silos that we often have in city administration. Yeah. It's a really, really extensive tool. I don't really have time to get more into it, but I just wanted to show you a quick insight. And now, if I have time, I would love to quickly show you something that me and my colleagues did. One moment, please. Yeah, so yesterday, on short notice, me and my colleagues were able to build a little demo map for Prishtina in Kosovo. We were able to access open source data. We were able to get a digital terrain model for the entire country, and also almost all buildings within the city. Unfortunately, the cities didn't have the height measurements, so we had to sort of give a medium height to every building. This is why this is obviously not. This is far from a real digital twin replica, but I think it's just interesting to see. We did this within an hour as to how quickly, based on open data, you can just generate a first step within a 3D world. And yeah, just for presentation purposes, I integrated some trees and some little benches here on this boulevard. Yeah, just wanted to show how easy it is to take a first step. And it really depends on the quality of available data to then enrich these static models and come more and more towards a digital twin. Just lastly, I would like to show a more advanced application. This is for the city of Berlin, we have developed a tool. This is our basic UI framework. We have up here a content tree with different data layers you can activate or put away. And yeah, it's basically a semantic model where you can then run analyses. We have over here our workbox, where you can, for example, use this split mapping tool I just showed earlier. You can do viewshed analysis. You can export certain files. You can export every building, run them through an AutoCAD program and import them again. You can run measurements and so forth. I see my time is up. Thank you very much for paying attention. I hope you learned a bit, and I'm happy to answer further questions once we join the discussion panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Willem Farr from VZ Systems. I would gladly invite Donjeta Sahatciu, Deputy Mayor of Prishtina Municipality. And Gresa Neziri, Urbanist, founder and executive director of SpaceSyntaKs. In the meantime, we will have Calum, Handford, advisor at UNDP, Global Center for Technology, Innovation and Sustainable Development. I need first to be comfortable. As you saw, the presentation was about explaining what 3D city models can do and how they can be used to enhance local governance, to make it more transparent, more citizen-friendly, and also to use the same models in order to generate, analyze, and simulate different solutions, and also to make these solutions more inspiring and also more close to the citizens. Cities are becoming more complex every day, and city administration have to deal with complex challenges. We at UNDP have been working with several municipalities, and it's more than obvious that above this existing complex situation that municipalities have, like increasing population density, rapid urbanization, they have also to deal with new complex challenges like climate change, environmental risks, and also safety issues. The 3D city model is just a model of a city, of different infrastructure, but if you combine it with real-time spatial data, informational, environmental, meteorological data, it becomes a digital twin that can be used for awareness, predictability, and different analysis, and even make more administrative processes to make them more efficient and operational. I would not take much more time from your. I would first go with some questions. My first question would be for VC systems. First of all, how can these digital twins, in combination with other digital solutions like WebGIS, could be used to facilitate transition into integrating green, smart, and safe digital solutions in cities? It's more about how can you explain the level of usefulness of these solutions in other regions and some success stories?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I have 3 points I would like to really show as my guiding thoughts when I think about digital twins. I think first of all, they're a supporting technology, meaning that they're not meant to replace certain processes that are already in place, but rather they need to be integrated. And every technological advancement is only as good as how people use them. I believe also a digital twin is never finished. A digital twin, just as a city that it mirrors, is basically always in constant motion. And I think the most important thing for really having a functional technological application is the quality of data. I've seen by user experience that the functionality and the applicability to integrate really depends on if the data is accurate. If we're speaking of real-time data, I've seen very few examples where they've managed to really integrate these very highly complex large data sets in real time in a digital twin. So yeah, I think as a really guiding point is that useful technologies really depends on the quality of data and how users operate with them. Also, we, as I said, we lay a lot of value on open source because what we've seen in the past with other companies is that they sort of don't merge with each other. And what we really want to avoid is that city administrations take their first step into making use of certain software advancements, but then feeling stuck because you're not able to sort of find a holistic solution where multiple components from different suppliers can be integrated together and really show the benefit of collaboration between technological advancement.
Thank you. I would like to call now our colleague Calum about explaining his experience working with UNDP, especially in Singapore, based on experience, case studies, and best case scenarios of how can digital twins or 3D city models be used for cities to treat complex challenges like environmental risks, impact of climate change challenge, and sustainable pattern of transport, or even safety risks.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and good evening from Singapore. So I think Henry actually touched upon this very nicely during his presentation, is that a digital twin is very much one tool in our kind of urbanization toolkit. It can be a very valuable source for information, for planning, for decision-making, but it's very much one tool. But where we can use it, though, is it's a potential for really understanding more about the environment that we're in. So a digital twin can be at the kind of scale that Henry just walked us through, at citywide, but it can also be at a very kind of small scale. So it can be a kind of neighborhood or even a small systems level as well. But fundamentally, what we need to be looking at is when we're deploying tools like digital twins is trying to understand what problem or what research question we're trying to tackle. When we work with policymakers, there's no shortage often of data. The trickiness is actually how do you translate that data into decision-making, into policymaking, and so on. And a digital twin, in that sense, is about actually a tool that we can use to make better decisions alongside other tools in our urbanization toolkit. Another point Henry mentioned as well is that digital twins don't sit in isolation. They need underlying data, they need underlying digital infrastructure. So a lot of our work in cities around the world is building these foundations, whether it is things like open data, whether it's elements like digital literacy within the public sector, or even a kind of broader ecosystem of the private sector and others like Henry to kind of support the decision making and build the solutions for policymakers as well.
Thank you, Calum. I like the part when you explain that it can be citywide but also small scale. Sometimes small steps are best. Donjeta, I would like to start a conversation now around, also based on your experience now working in the local administration. What is your opinion? Could this kind of digital solutions be integrated with urban and other administrative processes and also be part of this dynamic ecosystem within the municipality? And does the municipality of Prishtina has such aspirations, and is in the meantime doing some efforts related to digitalizing some of the public services?
Arlinda, thank you so much. I'm so very happy to be in this panel, and thanks for the full house. I see everyone's got back. So happy to have you all here. It's emotional for me also because this is my first time representing the city, and I feel like I'm part of Stick Home again. These solutions that were just presented, of course, are the vision, what we aspire to do. But I think that we, as a community, have very high expectations, and we do not have the right patience to wait for this vision. So I would really like to focus on what we have already started to do and what we can do, what are the budgets and everything, so that people, you here, can have a sense of reality, a sense of a positive touch of what we're doing and what are the possibilities. Of course, we have the issue of data. We have some data in the municipality. That's what I found in the 7 months in. And we have a very vibrant community. We're with Open Data Kosovo, FLOSK, and the others. We're trying to work very close with them, and we are very happy to have them in the community and with everything they have been doing so far. But we do not have a system in place in the municipality where we can track all these data, where we can see, are these data real, who has been working with them so far, and how can they really be migrated into some sense of systems or be a part of an overall integrated system. We have been trying and talking about using MapShare, which is a tool online, just to start experiencing how is it to use digital tools in terms of getting people's feedback and trying to see the city online in your screen and trying to put the trees or the streets or the waste bins that we are really much in need here. On the other hand, we face, of course, the public administration needs training. And I heard this by being outside from a lot of people that they always mention that this is a problem. The public administration is very slow. You cannot work with them, you know. And with this experience I can say that unfortunately not a lot of things have been done in this regard. And I see every day very passionate people that really want to do something because they know that as being public servants, whatever they do, they're going to be judged the minute they step out of the municipality building because this is the culture. If you enter politics, if you work in public administration, you are there just to spend your time and do nothing and to get the money from the taxes. So it's very difficult to try to motivate people within an environment that is prejudged. And then when we tell them about smart cities, you know, they have this sense of, okay, this is a luxury for us right now. What is smart cities? I also have the same feedback from people outside. Whenever I post something, or I go in trainings, or I go in panels talking about smart cities, I have these people saying all the time that, come on, we have traffic, we have issues with waste, why are you talking about smart cities? This is so future, we're not there yet. So we're facing these kind of difficulties in trying to just start using things and doing and taking it as a journey, as an experiment of what tools can we really use and how we can make people. And I loved Henry that mentioned that there's nothing we can do without people. You know, we have all the right safe and smart city solutions here in Prishtina, here in Kosovo. So we do not need to import any type of solutions. Of course we need expertise, but the vision and what we're really committed to do is to use the tools we have here. So the first thing we're doing in November, to go to the positive side of it, is we're gonna call everyone in. We're gonna, for the next year, because we already approved the budget for next year, and we were working this year with the last year's and last legislation's budget. Now we have no excuse. So we have our own budget for next year and we have to deliver. And I'm very happy that we have this because we can also measure what we're doing and measure if we can do and accomplish what we aimed and why we actually entered. In November, most of you here, I talked to you previously, you're gonna receive, for me personally, but of course also by the team, an invitation to join. So we're gonna create these sort of advisory groups. Because just in the next year, 2023, we budgeted almost €500,600 of euros in digitalization of education. So be that digitalization of registration of pupils, kids from kindergarten to schools, that has all to be online, because the process right now with all the papers is also not transparent as it should be, and I think it has to go online. We budgeted that. We also budgeted for next year trying to do a whole mapping of schools and a whole performance so that it's very transparent. We know each school, each public school, be that primary or high school, which is under our jurisdiction, so that everybody can know in which school they want to send their kids in, which is the best one for science and which one is best, because we have these sort of assumptions, but nothing is online to do all the ranking. We also have invested 1.6 million for next year to increase the lighting system and to put cameras in all public spaces, which is 65% more than of this year's budget. And I'm very proud for this, because this is the way how we can help women feel safe, girls and everything, in public spaces through cameras and through the light systems, which we have a lot of neighborhoods that do not have lighting. There are other projects, but I don't want to take the time of Gresa here. Maybe I can continue further on. Thank you.
No, thank you, and I'm happy about the lighting system. Gresa, you and your team within your NGO, you are working with municipalities, with several municipalities, and your daily work is around generating different spatial data and also extracting that into different spatial information. Can you tell us the challenges of this type of work, and can this type of solutions, digital solutions, more specifically the digital twins, overcome these challenges? Talking more about having the effect of the leapfrog effect of jumping from one step to higher steps.
So, hi everyone, thanks for having me. Thank you UNDP for inviting. Yeah, as you mentioned, Arlinda, with the NGO and with all my work, let's say, we have been working and we have been trying to collect data as much as we can to be able to see what's happening within the city. When you first start, you feel like it's an impossible task, but then going on to small steps and like just one thing at a time, you notice that even though we believe we're behind with everything and everything else, there's one simple thing that it is apparent: we live in a digital world. As much as complex data seems, especially spatial data, it's a phone. At the end of the day, we all have phones and they're all smart, meaning that we're all producing data all the time and they're all spatially located. Having that in mind, working with that data, initially you could build theoretically a digital twin model of a city, you could see the movements, you could see everything. Depending on the analysis that you want to do and what you're trying to work on, the level of data and the level of accuracy, as Henry was mentioning, then makes it more difficult or presents more challenges. Considering that in Kosovo we lack, let's say, the basic situation, like the state we're at currently, we could be having a leapfrog effect with technologies like this, as in we wouldn't need to go in the basic steps where we digitalize all the current plans that we have or everything, but we could take advantage of a digital twin city with using open spatial data to build onto that. We saw a fast preview of Prishtina and what VC tried in an hour to do. That is a very basic 3D city model, but I wouldn't say that it's not a necessary model to start in. Even in that model, which I think all of us notice that you don't see Prishtina in that, at least you have the street pattern of it. So like you have the veins of Prishtina, which you could work something into it. Going next and trying to improve a model is easier than starting from beginning. That's why, yes, we do lack data on height, as VC might have noticed, but it's not impossible to get them. In that regard, with my other hat of being a person that always talks about open data and voluntarily, actively, working with open data, I would invite everyone to use OpenStreetMap and to map on it, because data like that would help a digital city to be created. At the other hand, integrating the systems that are in place with municipalities or everything else and opening those data would enable academics or professionals to create a 3D model from the, let's say, building permits that they have. They all have the height on that, so that could, if that is a public data, we could be building a height model. So yeah, to come back to your question, there are challenges, but we're in a digital moment with very advanced technology and with very advanced remote sensing and earth observation technologies that could help us build models, build terrains, and have an initial model on which we could be working on to come with solution for cities.
Thank you. I would like also to discuss around safety on public spaces. I'm aware that your NGO has been working also on collecting some data about how safe are citizens feeling within certain areas. Can you talk a bit more about that? And then I would like to continue with Donjeta about how those data could be integrated with solutions like digital twin, also WebGIS systems and platforms, in order to be connected to different monitoring systems and possibly predict safety risk and also identify hotspots of safety risks.
Yes, I'm very happy to hear from Donjeta that they've assigned a part of budgeting for cameras in public spaces and lighting also. Early on last year with the NGO, we started a project called Safeometer. Some of you could have heard a bit. We're still working on it, but we have finished the data gathering part. But basically what we're trying to do is that we're trying to build a digital platform, type of WebGIS platform, where we map safety indicators within the city. That being, we have decided on 8 indicators that could be measuring safety. Those are some objective, like lighting, cameras in public spaces, and others. And then there are the subjective indicators, which are more perceived safety in public space, how people feel, regardless if there's lighting or camera. Somebody especially more marginalized groups, women, could feel unprotected. Therefore, for us, it matters a lot to also map perception and combine this all to build on some hotspots, some more problematic areas that later on would be priorities where to intervene for the municipality or all. Something Donjeta mentioned when she was talking about the administrative part of the municipality and all of us outside kind of judging the administration. I would add on to that we all should be doing our part on it. It's not that we have to expect from municipality also. We're like, especially the NGOs and everything, we can take our part on that and start with something, let's say, small, like mapping, to help municipality, and then hopefully we get to collaborate because data is not a dead thing. We have to like work on it and update it all the time, especially with something like lighting. With our mapping, we have mapped all public lighting within the urban part of Prishtina. Like literally every light that you see, we have mapped it, and it's digital, it's open data, it's going to be online very soon.
So Donjeta and her team can use those data to actually spread the new lighting in a more efficient way.
Yes, so you have lighting, you have all the cameras and everything, and also with the attributes, if they're functional or not, because a light, if it's not functional, then it's nothing. But then this system would need to be updated with the work of municipality and with everything that they do. So solutions like this would be a basis, let's say, that comes from an NGO, and then it's given to the municipalities for them to work later on. But finding those hotspots and prioritizing areas to intervene would be an easier way to tackle an issue.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have Gresa here with me. I know her from before as well, but other women like Gresa and other men also here have a lot of startups that really can help the municipality. And I always say at the end of the day, all we have to do is to have an open door policy, to welcome everyone, to give the opportunity to everyone to meet with us, to present their ideas, to discuss how we can work together. Of course, we have limitations. We have 105 million euros of a budget for next year. And that's very little compared to the needs of the city. And when we talk about the needs of the city, we still have issues with waste management. We have basic issues with lighting too. Although 98% almost of the lights are now LED technology, meaning that they're compatible for any type of smart city solutions on top of them. But still, that's not enough, because the requests so far for neighborhoods that didn't have lighting, they were all reports on social media, more or less, but little of them went through a proper system in the municipality. And then when it came down to us budgeting the expansion of the system, then you did not have really a system of how you choose which neighborhood do you go to first, because the backlog was very long. And these are just very simple. I know these sound very simple, and but this is the level of things we miss in public administration. And it's not the fault of the public administration. As I always say, it's the fault of leadership and how you create systems and how you motivate people to continue doing that. Regardless of whether I am there today or whatever I do tomorrow, I'm not there to stay forever, in the sense that I am the first one from the sector to join the municipality. But we should install really a new mindset on how people can believe in these systems, how they can believe in processes, and how they can be the next leaders of those processes. Currently, we don't have any database with the data that have all the work that has been done in the past years after the war in Prishtina. And I love the goodwill that all this community has. And of course, the private sector and the NGOs are way ahead of the public sector. And that creates demand, that creates expectations of us to kind of catch up with everything that's going on. But at the same time, the other side of the medal is that we keep receiving all of these platforms that are being given to the municipality, and then everybody expects that the public administration there somehow it gets trained and they continue maintaining them and they continue developing them. So right now in the municipality we have a bunch. We have, I think, almost 20 applications that people have either donated or the municipality has paid for such services, but we do not have a process of maintaining them, of scaling them, and putting them in use. I met one of the professors here, I'm not sure if he's here, but he mentioned that we have a young woman that she has a new project that she wants to donate to the municipality, which is my neighborhood type of idea, so that you kind of motivate people from the neighborhood to talk about the problems and then to rank neighborhoods based on the tasks that we have finished, and maybe also to kind of motivate volunteering in youth, which is something we're also looking forward to work on for next year. And of course, anyone else can come in, they can donate, but I'm really interested in creating a system, in place, in creating a strategy that is not only on paper, but that really serves for something. And that's why we need the community. We need the community to discuss. Even the 600k euros I mentioned before, we have some budget lines for it, because of course that's the process you have to go through the assembly to vote it. But again, we have the room to discuss with you here that have education or specialized in digitalization of education, and the whole process is there, so that we together can decide what's the best thing to do given the time we have available. I would like so it was in terms of safety and how we make the streets safe and everything else. Lights are one component of it, but the other one is that we assume that all the people kind of have smartphones. And data really show that women and girls, and especially women aged 45 plus, they do not all own a smartphone. And if they have smartphone, they do not have data on their phone, which means they cannot use the internet on their phones. They need free hotspots of free Wi-Fi, which is something we've been doing. I've met with internet telecom providers here to really map this. Where are the places where women can feel not safe and that they have access to internet and they can report cases. Also, another statistic is that every second woman has been harassed in her life in public transport. This also happens here. And our buses, of course, we're expecting a new wave of buses, but we're trying to make these also awareness-raising campaigns so that we use the buses to motivate everyone to report cases, to talk about them. Only 2% of cases with violence that are gender-based get reported in Kosovo. Only 2%. So imagine the rest of the numbers and everything. So we really need to spend money in technology and using it, but at the same time, there's a no wow factor nowadays of what technology can do. But there's still a wow factor when you see the level of expertise we're missing. So we need to prepare people to be able to use these systems so that these systems are not just left there. And the same happens with motivating people to report and to be proactive, because they see that if they do that, then that will help the whole system.
Thank you. There is also increasing pressure so the cities become more sustainable and integrate and implement more green solutions. And talking about green, the gamma of possibilities is huge. However, what is the municipalities' efforts or future plans of using this kind or even other platforms or even existing data that were generated by NGOs like Gresa or others in order to enhance green solutions, starting from solar, making all the lighting more with LED panels or similar. But as I said, everything is possible. But where do we stand, or how can the society support the systems, and where the society or the community can meet together in one point with the municipality in order to make these things into motion?
Thank you, Arlinda. So the city has passed a Green City Action Plan, which most of the European countries also are required to pass it. And of course, this has been done in the last legislation. And when I read the City Action Plan, it's very good on paper. You have very good projects and everything, but there's no estimation in terms of budgeting, no estimation in terms of timing, of resources. So basically, I have this plan on my table, but I have to do a lot of other things in order to start implementing something from that plan. And especially when you miss budgets, you don't have the financial resources to kind of invest on it and support it. So we always are now waiting for grants and for loans. For instance, we have now a 6 million, which is a 5 million soft loan combined with a 1 million grant from EBRD, which is in energy efficiency. So we're changing all public schools, doors, windows, thermal and heating systems. And also, besides schools, the public health institutions. So that is one way to go. But all loans have to go through the Ministry of Finance. And what we keep seeing and having is that they are not interested in having loans that are focused or only in one municipality. They are really looking for things that they can tackle all around Kosovo. And it's very difficult for us to get those kind of financing that we have people on board that say, okay, we want to help you do smart waste bins for Prishtina, but you have to make sure that not just Prishtina, you also have maybe some municipalities of the region of Prishtina and some other municipalities too, so that it's a national type of investment and not just focused and concentrated in one municipality. So these are types of the issues we have. But the green aspect of it, besides having it as an action plan, we've been, and I remember a post I did because I met a company in Kosovo that has sensors to put to waste bins, be that underground or on the ground. And we have companies that have sensors that we can put them to trucks so that we know exactly at what point a bin is being full. So we are efficient in terms of going and getting out the garbage and everything, because we know, based on some data, though not structured, that some waste bins in the city get filled 5-6 times a day. And we do not have the capacity to go there more than twice. And of course, it has to stay overnight, and then we have stray dogs and all that issues, that it's a circle type of issue. We have the companies here, but the financial constraints are huge. Another green type of aspect we're doing and we're working, we have budgeted to create a garden of the city, which means we want to have a lot within the city where people can go and rent sort of a parcel, and they can use it to have all types of organic food or whatever they want to have soil on it. That is one aspect, so that we can give the citizens of Prishtina a sense of gardens within. Another type of green project, of course, is the hydroponic is a new technology of using water vertically. So we have vertically stacked green in all sorts of the municipality. Another project which I'm very proud also, although this is not a success of this legislation, is something that the past legislation has done, and I want to thank them for doing this, is trying and initiating the composting center. So we just opened the first composting center in the region, which is basically all the green residues we have all around the city. We can put them in the center. It can go through machinery, and then we have fertilizer out of it, which we can give out to farmers, but we can also provide this to our public entity, Horticultura, which they do not then need to spend money to buy fertilizer, but they can use it, so it's a circular type of economy. I'm happy to say that for next year, we also planned and we budgeted the next center, and that is for the construction residue, so construction waste. We have a lot of construction waste all around the city, so we're building, and this is something that we budgeted, it has been voted for next year. That's the next plan. 2024, then it's another center close to it, which has to do with these volume type of waste, which we have. You've seen maybe these on your neighborhoods, a chair or a couch next to a waste bin. And there's no specific process on how you get those, they're not part of the city, and how we can use them, and then maybe provide them to some sort of, to the startups we have here. We have a startup, Duvo, for example, lab, that they use these residue of plastic and they do accessories and they sell them online. And we have other types of startups here that we can help them provide with the resources for them to work. I can continue on and on and on, as you can see, but this is for now.
I've learned about Municipality of Prishtina more now than I've learned in a year, so thank you. I would, just because we are close to the end, I would like just to confirm with Henry, since he is the one that presented, can the 3D city model be used also about calculations? For example, if the municipality wants to improve the lighting system, can the same, is the format and the pattern of these solutions also suitable extracting budgets? Is, for example, how much the network, the new lighting network would cost the municipality?
That kind of functionality we don't have yet. It's something that could be developed, but no, that is not in place. Before my last words, I just wanted to say thank you very much. It was really interesting, and I completely agree with keeping it in Kosovo, like supporting the local economy, supporting the digital ability of young people to bring their ideas there and sort of find a way to channel all these great ideas into one community organized, open door kind of attitude. I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. We have around 10 or 8 or 9 minutes left. I would like to also discuss around UNDP's experience of facilitating this kind of solutions. We have Calum from UNDP Singapore, and UNDP, together with many other partners, have been trying to support and ensure sustainability and smart projects, and project implementation and also technical support. Calum, can you tell us about how UNDP Singapore supports building and shaping inclusive, livable and sustainable cities through similar smart digital solutions?
Of course, thank you. So I should say, although we're based in Singapore, we don't actually do work in Singapore itself, but what we do try to do is tap into the ecosystem here. So private sector, public sector, R&D, academia, other parts of the country as well. So we work across about 40 or 50 countries around the world. But I think the work that we do is really actually summarized very nicely by the Deputy Mayor. So on a personal level, I'm not a big fan of the term smart cities. If you Google smart city, you'll see pages after pages of laser beams flying all over the place, drones, big data, often no people in these photos, no trees, no animals, no lives, no livelihoods, right? So what we're trying to do is actually redefine what a smart city is. And for us, a smart city fundamentally is about using tools and innovation to improve urban lives. So that might be high tech, some stuff like 5G, AI, big data. It might be more frugal innovations like we've been talking about today. It may even be no tech, so things like nature-based solutions as well. So there's a whole toolkit of different elements that I think could actually make a smart city. So part of our work is trying to redefine what makes a city smart, essentially. But what we're also trying to do is work with the public sector. So I, many years ago, was a local government official back in the UK, and very much echoes some of the thoughts from the Deputy Mayor. It's very scary as a city official to open up your processes to the community, to the public sector, to society more broadly, because it's not how you're used to working. So what we're trying to do on that level is support governments, local and national, in building those processes and building that bravery and supporting those skills as well. So we're doing a few things this year. One is we've got what we call a Future of Government Awards, essentially just recognizing public sector innovation and celebrating it and highlighting it, but also highlighting that this innovation can be shared between countries. So things like open source innovation, how we can replicate it, adapt it, scale it across cities, across countries, and so on. The second thing that we're doing is starting to look at how do we build more bravery in the kind of procurement process. So we're doing things like model policies to embed open contracting data standards and transparency in procurement, which is fantastic on one side because it means that the city has more visibility of where they're spending money. But it also means if you're a startup or an SME, you have more visibility on actually how you can engage with the city and the administration as well. We speak to a lot of startups, and one of their biggest challenges is actually understanding how local government works. You see around the world that we have medtech, we have fintech, we have regtech, but we have very little on the civic tech space. And often that's because startups and SMEs really struggle to find entry points into government and find ways to build meaningful and longer term relationships. So the Deputy Mayor's point there about opening up processes and having that open door policy is absolutely fundamental to that. And then the final thing that we're doing a lot of across UNDP is this process of what we call collective intelligence. And essentially, collective intelligence is just opening up your innovation processes. So on one level, it can be crowdsourcing ideas. On the other, it can be just meaningful consultation, having a feedback loop with your citizens to actually understand what is and isn't working, and just having that kind of dialogue over the longer term as well. So that's a bit of a snapshot of the work that we're doing, but very happy to share more in detail on another call as well.
Thank you. Can you also explain about some best case scenarios or case studies or success stories more related about countries in development that have tried or have succeeded in implementing such solutions?
Yeah, I should say as well, no one has figured this out. There is no truly smart city anywhere in the world. So yeah, we're all very much on this.
One recipe, but just maybe some cases, yes.
Yeah. No, definitely. So there's huge different variants that we see. One exciting one that we see a lot across China, these kind of sponge cities, so using natural environments to soak up floodwater and divert it to more useful causes. We're seeing a lot of work, particularly across the Asia Pacific, around engaging the informal economy. So how do you start building linkages between the public sector and the smaller scale private sector? And often this includes things like government becoming a more intelligent customer for the small-scale private sector. So better scoping of your projects, better procurement processes, and we're seeing really exciting stuff happening there. And then there's a few examples, particularly across the African continent, where we're seeing real exciting engagement with working with bigger platform economy. So how do you build a pipeline of talent in the platform economy, so that you're not just getting gig workers working for their entire lifespans in that economy, but actually building meaningful skills that they can then engage with other opportunities in the public sector, wider private sector as well. So there's a huge range of different case studies that we're working on. But fundamentally, it just comes down to, I think what the Deputy Mayor mentioned earlier, is a leadership that you have in a city. So a leadership that has a vision and a strategy about the role that technology and innovation play in these spaces and what it means for cities, lives, citizens, and their lives and their livelihoods.
Thank you. I'm done with questions. We have a couple more minutes. If somebody from the public wants to ask a question, Donjeta says that we are open. So, Prishtina Municipality is trying to be transparent and by example. Yes.
So, maybe until someone decides to raise the hand. I know it's tricky. I just wanted two more things to say. There's a new call we're going to be opening very soon. It's around a budget of 350K. It's a consultancy type of study analysis and data for the new advanced traffic management system. So this funding is our own for the municipality to make a study in terms of references for the new system to be built in 2023, which then for it, of course, because it costs millions. And by advanced traffic management system, I mean the whole digitalization of traffic lights and how we coordinate everything around it, because right now we don't have any type of digitalization in that area. Also, very soon we're signing an MOU with STIC. And if any of you has any idea of what we should include in that MOU, so please feel free to go to Violta and the team and just give ideas. We're really trying to not make this a typical MOU where we say we're going to work together. We really want to have projects and concrete things that we get out of each other. So please do that. And last but not least, and I hope by now you have questions, I want to thank UNDP for really helping. In these 7 months, I've met with your team a lot, and I think you have a really good idea of including e-permits and some other sense of digital tools that we can use together, and you're really helping us in moving forward and engaging also the community through your funds. So thank you for everything you've been doing.
Hi, I have a question for Donjeta. Hi again. Thank you for all the information you have given to us regarding these new projects that are ongoing for the municipality. I wanted to ask you regarding the smart parking. I know that you are building a new parking lot and also you are managing these parking lots around the city, but did you think of making these parking spots smart in terms of like having an application and person who is driving needs a parking lot, they can see on the app where is the nearest parking spot. I think that this would also help in all this mess around the traffic and also all these issues that we have with pavements that people cannot walk anywhere. Did you ever think of making the parking spots smart so that people do not drive around try to find the spot? Thank you.
Another idea for
yes, lovely. Should I answer it now? Or yeah. Thank you so much for the question. Yes, we've been thinking. We have already started. So we've ideated. So here's the thing. We have a Prishtina parking, which is a public entity, which hasn't been doing a good job, obviously, to some extent. And we have taken the decision to fire the leadership there and to hire new leadership so that it goes in hand with the new investments that we try to do there. The idea is that we need a leadership that has a vision and that at the same time doesn't decide on its own, on her own, to invest in projects. Because that funding that they get as a public entity is your taxes. So it has to go through a transparent process so we decide what type of amounts and not 750K for, as you've seen the news, for an app that obviously can be done very cheap. Not that much of resources required. So yes, we have ideated that. I've met already with 3 local companies that have sent an email to me because we haven't opened a call yet. And I've listened to their presentations. They have already ready solutions for this. We look forward to integrating them in the existing app. But the same goes with traffic, so public transport. We have an app, Trafiku, Urban, which we're trying to, of course, advance. That also has been a donation, I had to mention, for it. So, so that through the app, you can see not only when the bus comes, but you can also see how you can do where are the buses, and then the new bike lanes we're trying to do, because we're going to get an integrated public traffic management system so that you can hop on a bike and then continue with a bus. That's in. I have a pressure here that we are in time. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just
give the microphone, don't look at me like that, to Gresa, just for a finishing sentence. Please, one sentence.
I will try. No, just to maybe summarize the whole idea of 3D cities and digital twins, and just ask everyone, including municipalities, but all of us, to think towards utilizing it and taking advantages as much as possible. Basically, as abstract as it sounds, is just a model. Working and planning without a previous model where you analyze and test things, it's like putting a car prototype in the streets without even testing it. You might end up having a good result, it might crash. That's why we end up having documents in our just at our desks and might not use them. That's why using a model to previously test, especially road transportation, can end up with having a good functional transportation. Not having traffic doesn't mean increasing more roads, having more streets, and so on. It just means having a good system, a good model where we test on and we come to the final results and then build on it. Not just go on and build more and more and more on roads, because we might be creating new problems. So yeah, just to wrap up with my one sentence, let's use the models as much as we can, and we do have the technology to have it in 3D, live a virtual reality for a bit, and then plan and build it.
So in one sentence, let's be more intelligent by thinking more smart. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I would like to thank also Calum and Henry, and I'm sorry, gentlemen, but this part of the panel looks more beautiful than you.